They buried my husband, but he called me that night.
The phone began vibrating inside the coffin. It wasn't loud, just a thin, mechanical tremor against wood. But in the silence of the funeral hall, it sounded obscene. Everyone heard it. Mira did not move at first. She stood beside the casket, fingers pressed into the fabric of her black dress so hard the seams threatened to tear. Her husband lay inside. Closed eyes, powdered skin, lips arranged into a polite lie. The phone kept vibrating. Her mother-in-law made a choking sound. Someone whispered, "Turn it off." But no one touched the coffin. The vibration stopped. Then it started again. Mira's pulse climbed into her throat. She knew that ringtone. She had chosen it herself 2 years ago when she bought him that phone for his birthday. He'd laughed and said it was too cheerful for a grown man. It vibrated a third time. She leaned forward before she knew she was moving. "Don't," her brother hissed from behind her. "It's inappropriate." Inappropriate. Her husband had died in a car accident 48 hours ago. Inappropriate had lost meaning. She placed her palm on the lid. Cold polish. Smooth. Final. The phone began ringing instead of vibrating. A soft melody. Her breath hitched. "Open it," she said. Her mother-in-law stared at her as if she had slapped her. "What? Open it. That's insane. It's ringing." "Phone's glitch," her brother snapped. "Probably someone calling and it's ringing." She heard the tremor in her own voice. Not grief. Not hysteria. Recognition. Her father-in-law finally stepped forward, face gray. "We'll just silence it," he muttered. "It's disrespectful." He nodded to the funeral attendant. The attendant hesitated only a moment before lifting the lid halfway. The smell of chemicals drifted out. Her husband lay exactly as before, hands folded, wedding band gleaming, and in the inner pocket of his suit jacket, something pulsed with light. The attendant reached in. The phone screen glowed bright in the dim hall. Incoming call. Myra. The entire room went still. Her name. Her number. But her phone was in her clutch. She could feel it against her thigh. Her brother looked at her. "Are you calling him?" She shook her head slowly. The ringing stopped. The screen went black. The attendant held the phone out with trembling fingers. "It's locked." "Give it to me," she said. Her mother-in-law's hand shot out first. "No." Mira's voice dropped. "That's my husband." The older woman's eyes filled with tears that did not soften her expression. "He is my son." The silence thickened again. Her father-in-law exhaled. "Let her see it." Reluctantly, the phone was passed to Mira. Her hands felt numb as she pressed the power button. The screen lit up. Battery, 3%. No new notifications. No call history showing an incoming call from her own number. Nothing. Her brother leaned over her shoulder. Maybe it was a scheduled alarm. She stared at the time. Uch onye de PM. He had died at 3:17 p.m. Her stomach folded inward. "Shut it off," her mother-in-law whispered sharply. Mira looked down at her husband's face inside the coffin. His expression was peaceful, almost smug. The phone battery dropped to 2%, then 1%. The screen flickered, and before dying completely, a message preview flashed across the lock screen. "Unknown number. You should not have opened it." The screen went black. Dead. The hall erupted into murmurs. Her brother grabbed the phone from her hand. "This is sick. Someone's messing with you." Mira did not answer. She was staring at the coffin. "You should not have opened it." Not the phone. The coffin. Her mother-in-law slammed the lid shut. "This is enough." The service ended early. People left in clumps of hushed speculation. Mira stood alone beside the casket once more, before they sealed it for burial. Her mind replayed the message. "You should not have opened it." The wording crawled under her skin. Not answered. Not seen. Opened. She leaned closer. The funeral attendant had repositioned him after retrieving the phone. His suit lay smooth. Perfect. Too perfect. Her husband had been a careless dresser, always slightly wrinkled. She noticed something else. His wedding band was on the wrong hand. He always wore it on his left. This body wore it on the right. Her breath stopped. "Mira," her brother called softly. "We need to go." She did not move. The attendant began sealing the coffin. Screws. Slow turns. Each twist felt like a nail through her ribs. She opened her mouth to speak, to stop them, to say something impossible, but she closed it again, because if she was wrong, if grief had already fractured her, she would lose more than a husband today. She would lose credibility. And something told her credibility was all she had left. They buried him before sunset. The earth swallowed the polished wood. Her mother-in-law collapsed into her father-in-law's arms. Mira stood rigid. She did not cry. She had not cried once since the accident. At home that night, she placed the dead phone on the kitchen table. She plugged it in. Nothing. No charging symbol. No response. Completely inert. Her brother hovered in the doorway. I'm staying over. I'm fine. You're not. She turned toward him slowly. Did you see the ring? He blinked. What? The ring. It was on the wrong hand. He frowned. Mira. He wore it on the left. You've been under stress. Don't. He ran a hand through his hair. You think they buried the wrong body? I don't know. That's not possible. Dental records confirmed it. Her chest tightened. Dental records. She had not been allowed to see those. Only the parents had handled identification. The car had burned badly. Closed casket, they'd said. But she had opened it. You should not have opened it. Her brother stepped closer. You need sleep. Go home. He hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Call me if… I won't. After he left, the house felt cavernous. She walked into the bedroom. His side of the bed was untouched since the night before the accident. His watch sat on the nightstand. She picked it up. The second hand ticked steadily. Unlike the phone, her own phone buzzed. She flinched violently. Unknown number. Her fingers hovered. Then she answered. Silence. Mira, she said. A breath. Then a voice. Low. Familiar. You opened it. Her knees buckled against the edge of the bed. The voice was not distorted. Not mechanical. It was his. Her husband's voice. I saw the ring, she whispered. A pause. That wasn't me, the voice said calmly. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Where are you? Somewhere you shouldn't look. Anger flared through the terror. This isn't funny. I'm not joking. She swallowed. You died. Another breath. Closer to the receiver now. Did I? Her mind fractured along that line. She forced herself to think. If this was a prank, if someone had access to voice recordings, if someone wanted to destabilize her, tell me something only he would know. A faint exhale. Almost a laugh. You hate the smell of oranges. Her vision blurred. I don't, she whispered. You do. You just never admit it. You think it makes you sound childish. Her throat closed. Only one person knew that. Where are you? She demanded again. A rustling sound. Then, they're listening. The line went dead. She stared at the screen. Call duration. 1 minute 42 seconds. No recording. No trace. Her reflection stared back at her from the black glass. They're listening. The next morning, the grave was disturbed. She went before dawn. She didn't know why. Only that she couldn't breathe in the house anymore. The cemetery gates were still locked. She climbed them anyway. When she reached the plot, the soil was uneven. Not dug up, but disturbed, as if someone had knelt there. The flowers had been moved aside carefully. Her pulse roared in her ears. She dropped to her knees, pressed her hands into the dirt. Cold, compact, not opened, but touched. A shadow fell over her. She turned sharply. The groundskeeper stood a few feet away. You shouldn't be here this early. She rose slowly. Has anyone come by? He scratched his chin. Family sometimes. Last night. He shook his head. No one after closing. Her eyes searched his face for deceit. She saw none. Please leave, he said gently. She walked away in a daze. Halfway to the gate, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She answered immediately. You went to the grave, the voice said. Ice flooded her veins. You said you weren't there. I wasn't. Then how? I told you. They're listening. Her voice cracked. Who is they? Silence stretched. Then, you shouldn't trust my parents. Her chest constricted. Why? Another pause. Then the whisper. Because they know I'm not dead. The line cut. She stood in the middle of the cemetery, morning light spilling over rows of headstones, and felt the world tilt. If this was delusion, it was meticulous. If it was manipulation, it was intimate. If it was real, she forced the thought away. Her husband's parents had insisted on handling everything after the accident. The identification, the paperwork, the funeral arrangements. They had kept her out, to protect her. She had been too numb to fight. Now clarity began to seep in like poison. She drove straight to their house. Her mother-in-law answered the door, eyes swollen from grief. Mira? We need to talk. The older woman stiffened. About what? The accident. Her father-in-law appeared behind her. Now isn't the time. It's exactly the time. They let her in reluctantly. The living room smelled faintly of incense. She remained standing. Did you see the body before the funeral? She asked. Her mother-in-law's face paled. Of course. Did you identify him personally? A flicker. Yes. Was the ring on the left hand? Silence. Her father-in-law's jaw tightened. Why are you asking these things? Because it was on the right. Her mother-in-law began to cry. You're confused. Am I? Her phone buzzed again in her hand. All three of them looked down at it. Unknown number. Her father-in-law's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. She answered, "Ask them about the storage unit," the voice said immediately. Her heart pounded so hard she thought she might black out. "What storage unit?" she asked aloud. Her in-laws froze. "What storage unit?" she repeated, louder. Her mother-in-law shook her head violently. "I don't know what you're talking about." The voice on the phone whispered, "See?" Her father-in-law stepped forward. "Who is that?" She held the phone up. "Tell them I'm not dead," the voice murmured. Her mother-in-law let out a strangled sob. And in that sound, Mira heard something she had not heard before. Not grief. Fear. Fear. It moved through the room like a draft. Mira did not lower the phone. "Tell me about the storage unit," she said again, her voice steadier than she felt. Her father-in-law's lips parted, then pressed together. Her mother-in-law sank into the nearest chair as if her knees had dissolved. "This is cruel," she whispered. The voice in Mira's ear did not rush her. Silence, breathing, distance. "Ask them what's inside," it murmured. Her pulse hammered. "What's inside?" Her father-in-law snapped. "Enough." The word cracked like a whip. "You are grieving. We all are. Don't let someone exploit that." "Who would exploit me?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer. "Give me the phone." She tightened her grip. "No," the voice whispered almost fondly. "Don't." Her mother-in-law began shaking her head repeatedly. "He told us not to involve you." The air thinned. "He?" Mira asked. The older woman's eyes flew up, horrified at herself. Her husband's voice on the phone inhaled sharply. "Careful," he said. Mira's gaze locked onto her mother-in-law. "You just said he told you." Her father-in-law's face hardened into something she had never seen before. Not sadness, not authority. Control. "He told us many things before he died," he said evenly. "Before he died," Mira repeated. "So you admit he spoke to you?" "Of course he did. He was alive." "After the accident." Her mother-in-law sobbed harder. Her father-in-law's composure cracked for half a second. The phone line rustled. "Don't push too hard," the voice warned. "They'll shut down." She lowered the phone slightly, but did not hang up. "You identified the body," she said carefully. "But you wouldn't let me see him. You were hysterical," her mother-in-law said weakly. "I wasn't crying. You were in shock. So, you made decisions for me." Her father-in-law exhaled slowly. "We were protecting you." "From what?" Neither answered. The voice in her ear spoke again. "The storage unit is under his name. Industrial District, Locker 417. Her skin prickled. She repeated the information aloud. Her father-in-law stepped back as if struck. Her mother-in-law covered her mouth. That was answer enough. Mira's heart began racing so violently she felt lightheaded. "What's in Locker 417? She asked. Her father-in-law's voice dropped low. "You don't want to know. That's not your decision." The phone crackled. "Tell her," the voice breathed. Her mother-in-law shook her head violently. "You promised." "Promised." Mira's vision tunneled. "Promised what?" she demanded. Her father-in-law looked at the phone. "Who is speaking to you?" "My husband," she said. The words hung there. Her mother-in-law let out a broken wail. "Stop saying that. Then explain it," Mira snapped. The voice in her ear went quiet. Her father-in-law's shoulders sagged slightly. "He was afraid." "Of what?" "Of you." The room tilted. The word struck harder than any other possibility. "Of me?" she repeated. Her mother-in-law nodded miserably. "He said you were changing." Her stomach dropped. "How?" "He said you were asking questions. About money. About his trips." Mira's mind flickered through memories. Late nights. Unanswered calls. Credit card statements she had noticed but not pressed. "You think I would kill him?" she asked, almost amused by the absurdity. Her father-in-law didn't answer directly. "He asked us to safeguard certain things. Like a storage unit." "Yes." "What's in it?" He hesitated too long. The phone whispered again, urgency creeping in. "Leave. Now." Mira's breath shortened. "Why?" she asked into the receiver. "They're stalling." Her father-in-law stepped forward again. "Hang up. Make me," she said. The air vibrated with tension. Her mother-in-law's crying slowed, then stopped abruptly. She looked up, not grieving, calculating. "Mira," she said softly, "if he is alive, why hasn't he come home?" The question slid under her skin. She brought the phone back to her ear. Silence. "Answer her," Mira whispered. Nothing. Her throat tightened. Her father-in-law seized the moment. "Because whoever that is manipulating you." The phone suddenly crackled. "I can't come home," the voice said, strained now. "It's not safe." "Not safe from who?" she demanded. A sharp knock echoed from somewhere in the house. All three of them froze. The knock came again. Her father-in-law's face drained of color. Her mother-in-law whispered, "No." The voice on the phone went dead. Mira stared at the screen. Call ended. The knock came a third time. Slow, deliberate. Her father-in-law moved first. He walked toward the door with mechanical steps. Mira followed despite herself. When he opened it, two men stood outside. Not police, not neighbors. Dark suits. Neutral expressions. One held up a badge too quickly for her to read clearly. "Mr. Hahn?" he asked. Her father-in-law nodded stiffly. "We need to ask you a few questions." "About what?" he asked. "Your son." Her mother-in-law's breath hitched. Mira stepped forward. "Is this about the accident?" The men glanced at her briefly. "Who are you?" "His wife." A flicker passed between them. One of them spoke carefully. "Ma'am, we may need to speak privately." "No," she said immediately. Her father-in-law swallowed. "It's fine." "She can hear." The taller man's jaw tightened. "We received information that certain personal effects belonging to your son were not declared in the accident report." Personal effects. Storage unit. Locker 400. Mira's pulse spiked. Her father-in-law forced a thin smile. "There must be a mistake." The second man spoke. "There's also the matter of a transfer." "What transfer?" Mira asked sharply. Her father-in-law shot her a warning look. The agent continued, ignoring it. "A substantial amount of money was moved out of your son's account 12 hours before his reported death." The room went silent. Mira felt something inside her split cleanly in two. 12 hours before, she repeated. "Yes, that's impossible," her mother-in-law whispered. The taller agent's eyes drifted to Mira. "Did you authorize any transactions?" "No." "Did he discuss leaving the country?" Her lungs forgot how to work. "No." The men exchanged another look. Her father-in-law's composure finally shattered. "This is harassment." "Sir," the agent said evenly, "if your son is alive." "He is not," her mother-in-law shrieked. The word tore through the room. Alive. Not dead. Not certain. The agents watched carefully. Mira felt their attention shift to her. "You've received any unusual communication?" the taller one asked. Her phone felt heavy in her hand. She considered lying. The voice's warning echoed. "They're listening." Who was they? These men? Her in-laws? Her husband? She chose carefully. "No," she said. The lie tasted metallic. The agent studied her for a long second, then nodded. "If you recall anything, contact us." They handed over a card. No agency name she recognized, just a number. They left, without further explanation. The door closed. The house felt smaller. Her father-in-law turned on her immediately. "You said nothing?" She held his gaze. "Should I have?" Her mother-in-law began pacing. "This is spiraling. He told us this would happen." The phrase hit hard. "He told you this would happen," Mira repeated. Her father-in-law rubbed his temples. "He said if certain people started asking questions, we were to deny everything." "Certain people? Like who?" He looked at her. "You." The accusation didn't sting. It clarified. "You think I turned him in," she said slowly. He didn't deny it. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Her breath caught. She answered without hesitation. "You lied," the voice said quietly. "Yes." "Good." Her hands trembled. "Who were they?" A pause. "Not the police." Her skin went cold. "Then who?" "They're trying to close loose ends." The room seemed to shrink inward. "What loose ends?" "Me." Her mouth went dry. "You staged your death," she said flatly. Silence. "Answer me." Finally, softly. "I had to." Her heart began pounding so hard it hurt. "You let them bury someone else." "No." The word came fast. "Then what did they bury?" A long pause. Empty weight. The air left her lungs. "You expect me to believe they buried an empty coffin?" "Yes." "I saw a body." Another silence. "Then." "You saw what they needed you to see." Her thoughts collided violently. Her in-laws watched her face. "What is he saying?" her father-in-law demanded. She didn't answer. She couldn't. The voice lowered. "You shouldn't have opened it." The phrase again. Her chest tightened. "What was in the coffin?" she whispered. "Something that would pass." "Pass what?" "Time." The line crackled violently. "Where are you?" she demanded. "I can't tell you." "Why?" "Because if you know, you become leverage." Her mind reeled. "You already made me leverage." "No," he said sharply. "I tried to protect you. By faking your death?" "Yes." Her laugh came out brittle and broken. "From what?" The silence this time was not cautious. It was heavy. "Finally." "From what I did." Her stomach dropped. "What did you do?" Another knock sounded in the house. Not at the front door. Somewhere deeper. A cupboard. A wall. A pipe. Her in-laws heard it too. Her mother-in-law's eyes widened. Not now, she whispered. The phone line went dead again. The knocking continued. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Her father-in-law moved toward the hallway. Mira followed. Heart racing. The sound came from the basement door. Her mother-in-law grabbed her arm. Don't. But Mira pulled free. Her father-in-law opened the basement door slowly. Darkness below. The knocking stopped. They stood frozen for several seconds. Then, a phone began vibrating from somewhere under the stairs. Mira's breath caught. Her father-in-law descended first. She followed despite the cold dread coiling in her gut. Halfway down, she saw it. A duffel bag. Unzipped. Inside, another phone. Vibrating. Her husband's ringtone. Her father-in-law stared at it like it was a snake. Mira stepped forward. She picked it up. Incoming call. You known, she answered. Silence. Then her husband's voice. But clearer. Closer. I told you not to push. Her blood froze. She looked at the basement walls. Concrete. Solid. Where are you? She whispered. A faint echo answered. Closer than you think. Her father-in-law staggered backward. Her mother-in-law collapsed onto the stairs. The voice continued. You were never supposed to see the body. Why? She demanded. Because it wasn't safe. For who? For you. Her breath came in short bursts. You moved money, she said. You planned this. Yes. Why? Because I found something. Her pulse thundered. What? Another pause. Then, quietly. About you. The floor seemed to vanish beneath her feet. About me? She whispered. Yes. Her throat tightened painfully. What about me? The voice softened. I didn't marry who I thought I did. The words hit like a physical blow. Her in-laws stared at her. She felt exposed. What does that mean? She asked. The phone crackled faintly. It means you should check locker 417 before they do. The line went dead. And this time, the silence that followed felt like a countdown. Mira stood in the basement, the second phone still warm in her hand, and understood something with sudden, nauseating clarity. Whatever game her husband had started, it was now running on its own momentum. And she was in it. Her father-in-law recovered first. Give me that. She didn't move. Give me the phone, he repeated, more forcefully. No. Her mother-in-law's voice trembled from the stairs. Mira, please. We can handle this. You already handled it, she said quietly. You buried him. Her father-in-law's jaw tightened. We did what he asked. So, he is alive. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. Mira stepped away from them, backing up the stairs slowly, clutching the phone to her chest as if it were a pulse. You knew, she said. Her mother-in-law covered her face. He said it was temporary. Temporary what? He said he needed to disappear. Why? Her father-in-law snapped. Because people were looking at him. What people? People with leverage. The word echoed what her husband had said. Leverage. Her pulse began racing again. And I'm the leverage? Silence. Her father-in-law looked at her differently now. Not just suspicion. Assessment. He said you were asking too many questions, he said finally. About what? About the accounts. Her mind flickered back. 3 months ago. A credit card charge from a city she'd never visited. When she'd asked him, he'd kissed her forehead and told her she was paranoid. 2 months ago. A deposit she didn't recognize. He'd said it was a bonus. A month ago. She'd opened his laptop while he was in the shower. A message thread open. No names. Just initials. Coordinates. Locker numbers. Her stomach turned. You think I was going to expose him? She said slowly. He thought you might. Her father-in-law corrected. Her mother-in-law whispered. He was scared. Of me? He said you had changed. The phrase again. Mira's chest tightened painfully. Maybe she had. She had started looking more closely. Started noticing patterns. Started asking. Because something inside her had felt off. Her husband had grown distant long before the accident. Long before the funeral. Before the phone rang inside the coffin. She felt a sharp, burning realization. What did he find out about me? She asked suddenly. Her in-laws exchanged a look. Nothing, her father-in-law said too quickly. That's not what he said. The basement felt smaller. Suffocating. He said he didn't marry who he thought he did. Her mother-in-law flinched. Her father-in-law looked away. You should go home, he said. That's not an answer. He was under pressure. He said things. What things? He said your background didn't match. The world slowed. What does that mean? He said there were inconsistencies, records, employment history. Her heart dropped into her stomach. That's ridiculous. He hired someone. The words landed heavy. A private investigator. Mira felt heat rush to her face. Why? He thought you were hiding something. Her breath became shallow. She laughed once, sharp and humorless. You let him fake his death because he thought I had a secret? It wasn't just that, her father-in-law said. There were threats. From who? We don't know. Her phone vibrated again in her hand. Not the one she'd answered before. Her own. Unknown number. She didn't hesitate this time. You shouldn't be there. Her husband's voice said immediately. I'm exactly where I should be. They're panicking. Good. Silence on the other end. You talked to them about me, she said. Yes. What did you find? A long pause. I found your maiden name doesn't exist before you were 20. Her throat closed. That's impossible. I thought so too. Her knees weakened slightly. You think I fabricated my identity? I think parts of it were erased. By who? Maybe by you. The accusation cut deeper than fear. You're insane. Am I? Yes. You don't remember the year before we met. Her pulse spiked violently. Yes, I do. Tell me. Her mouth opened, closed. She pictured it. The year before they met, she had moved cities, changed jobs, cut contact with certain people. It had felt necessary, because she'd wanted a fresh start. Because what? You're manipulating me, she whispered. Am I? Her hands trembled. I loved you, she said. A faint exhale. I know. Then why do this? Because I found a file. What file? About a woman with your face. Her stomach lurched. That's absurd. It was sealed. By who? I don't know. The line crackled. I started digging, he continued. And someone noticed. Who? They warned me. Warned you about what? You. The word felt like ice. Her breathing grew erratic. You think I'm dangerous? I think someone thought you were. And you believed them. I believed the money trail. What money trail? The one tied to your name. Her chest constricted painfully. I don't have secret accounts. You did. The room swayed. I don't. You did, he repeated quietly. Under a different version of your name. Her in-laws were watching her face now. Not afraid. Studying. You checked my records? She whispered. Yes. And you didn't confront me? I did. When? The night before the accident. Her mind flashed. That night, he had been distant, quiet, watching her. They'd argued. About nothing. Or maybe about everything. You accused me of something vague, she said slowly. You wouldn't say what. Because I wasn't sure. And then you died. Silence. I didn't die, he said. No, she whispered. You ran. Yes. From me. From whoever is behind you. The phrase snapped something inside her. I am not behind anything. Then explain the file. I don't know what file you're talking about. Locker 417, he said. It has a copy. Her pulse thundered. You want me to open it? Yes. Why me? Because if I go, they'll know. They already know, she snapped. Men in suits came. His breathing changed. Describe them. She did. There was a pause. They're not official, he said quietly. You said that before. They're connected. To what? To the same network that flagged your records. Her stomach twisted. You think I'm part of something. I think you might not know you are. The sentence hit harder than any accusation. What does that even mean? Another long silence. You told me once, he said slowly, that you had nightmares about drowning. Her throat tightened. Yes. You said you couldn't remember why. She didn't respond. You wake up gasping, he continued softly. Like something is pulling you under. Her breathing had already grown shallow. That doesn't mean anything. It might. The basement suddenly felt suffocating. I don't have secret identities, she whispered. I hope you're right. The line went quiet. Where are you? She demanded again. I can't say. Why not? Because if you don't know, they can't extract it from you. Her mind spun. Extracted how? Silence. Then, quietly. You don't remember the car. Her blood ran cold. What about the car? The accident. Her voice broke. You were alone. No. The word shattered her composure. What? There was someone else in the car. The basement seemed to collapse inward. That's not in the report. They removed it. Who? The same people. Her breathing turned frantic. Who was in the car? A pause. Then, you. The world went silent. The phone nearly slipped from her fingers. That's impossible. You were there. I was at home. You think you were. Her vision blurred. Her in-laws stared at her in shock. You're lying, she whispered. Am I? Yes. You have a bruise on your left hip. Her heart stopped. She did. From what, she had assumed, was slipping in the shower days before. You said you fell, he continued. I did. You didn't. Her knees buckled slightly. The basement spun. You were in the passenger seat, he said softly. No. Yes. I would remember. You don't remember the year before we met. Her thoughts fractured. Images flickered. A road at night. Rain. Headlights. A scream. Her stomach lurched violently. No, she whispered again. They pulled you out first, he said. The words scraped against her skull. They told me you were in shock. Her pulse pounded painfully in her ears. They told you I wasn't there, she said weakly. Yes. And you believed them. I wanted to. Silence expanded between them. You're breaking me, she whispered. I'm trying to warn you. About what? That you might not be who you think you are. The line went dead. Mira stood frozen. Her in-laws were staring at her as if she had become something unfamiliar. Her father-in-law spoke first. What did he say? Her voice felt detached from her body. He said I was in the car. Silence fell like a hammer. That's impossible, her mother-in-law breathed. Mira pressed a hand against her left hip unconsciously. The bruise throbbed. Memory flickered again. A flash of white light. The smell of gasoline. Hands pulling her. Voices saying, don't tell her. Her breath hitched. I need to go, she said abruptly. Where? Her father-in-law asked. Locker. 400 Minuten. Her mother-in-law grabbed her wrist. If you open it, he already told me not to open things, Mira said quietly. That didn't work out well. She left without waiting for their permission. The drive to the industrial district felt unreal. Every red light stretched too long. Every car behind her felt like surveillance. Her mind replayed the word. You were in the car. If that were true, if she had been there, why did she not remember? And why would they erase it? The storage facility loomed ahead. Concrete. Anonymous. She parked 2 blocks away. Walked the rest. The keypad at the entrance required a code. She tried his birthday. Denied. She tried their anniversary. Denied. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered without speaking. Use your birthday, he said. Her pulse spiked. She entered it. The door clicked open. The corridor inside smelled of dust and metal. Locker numbers lined both sides. Her footsteps echoed. She stood before it. A small metal door. Padlocked. Her hands trembled. Key, she whispered. Inside the duffel. His voice answered through the phone. Her breath caught. She had left the duffel in the basement. You didn't check all the pockets, he said. Her mind raced. You planned this, she whispered. Yes. For me. Yes. Her hand hovered over the lock. What's inside? She asked one last time. A pause. Proof. Of what? Of who you are. Her fingers wrapped around the cold metal. And for the first time since the phone rang inside the coffin, she felt something sharper than fear. Dread. It spread through her limbs slowly, like cold water rising inch by inch. Her hand tightened around the lock. Wait, she whispered into the phone. If this proves something about me, why didn't you just show me? I tried, he said. When? The night before the crash. Her mind strained backward again. That night, he had been agitated, pacing, watching her as if measuring distance. He'd asked strange questions. If you could start over, would you? If someone told you your past wasn't what you thought, would you want to know? She had snapped at him, accused him of paranoia, told him he was projecting guilt onto her. He had looked at her for a long time, not angry. You wouldn't listen, he said now. Her chest tightened painfully. You accused me of cheating, she whispered. Yes. You said I had secrets. Yes. And then we argued. Yes. And then you drove away. Yes. The silence after that felt bottomless. I didn't get in the car, she said weakly. You did. No. You don't remember. Her hand trembled against the padlock. I would remember something like that. They told you you fainted before impact. Her heart slammed hard enough to make her vision spark. I never faint. You did. She swallowed hard. And they told me I wasn't there? Yes. Why? Because you weren't supposed to survive. The words detonated quietly, but completely. Her breath left her lungs. What? They didn't expect you to survive. Her knees weakened. Who didn't? I don't know names, he said. Only patterns. Her fingers went numb. If they didn't expect me to survive, then what was the crash? Not an accident. The world narrowed to a single, suffocating point. You're saying someone tried to kill me? Yes. And you? I was collateral. Her mouth went dry. Why would anyone want me dead? That's what's in the locker. Her pulse pounded so loudly she could barely hear him. You're guessing. I'm connecting. You moved money. Yes. Why? To buy time. For who? For you? Her laugh came out broken. You faked your death to protect me? Yes. From people who tried to kill me. Yes. And instead of telling me any of this, you staged a funeral. I couldn't trust what you knew. Her throat burned. You thought I was involved. I thought you might not know you were. The phrase again, not know you were. Her fingers tightened around the lock. What if I don't want to know? She whispered. Silence. You deserve to. Her eyes burned. I didn't ask for this. No one does. She closed her eyes briefly. If this was manipulation, it was intricate beyond cruelty. If it was truth, it was unbearable. Her phone crackled faintly. They're watching the facility, he said suddenly. Her eyes snapped open. What? Don't look around. Too late. Her gaze flicked to the security camera mounted high in the corner. Red light blinking. How do you know? She whispered. I've been tracking. From where? I can't say. Her chest tightened. Then why send me here? Because if you don't open it, they will. Her pulse spiked. And if I do, they'll know you're asking. Her heart pounded. So either way, yes. No clean choices. The rule had been there from the beginning. She swallowed hard. Is there another way? No. Her breathing became shallow. Then why are you calling now? To tell you something before you open it. Her grip tightened. What? If you find proof. If you find something about yourself that scares you. Her throat closed. Don't let them define it for you. Her vision blurred. What did you find? She demanded. A long pause. I found records of payments made in your name. That's not proof of anything. They were linked to incidents. What incidents? Disruptions. Disappearances. Her stomach twisted violently. You're implying I don't know, he said sharply. I don't know. You think I'm some kind of operative? I think someone invested in you. The phrase made her skin crawl. Invested how? Training. Relocation. Erasure. Her breathing faltered. I work in marketing, she said, weakly. You work in whatever your current file says. Her heart slammed painfully. Stop. I'm not trying to hurt you. You already did. Silence. Then softly. I know. Her hand hovered over the lock again. If I open this, and there's nothing, then I'm wrong. And if you're wrong, I lose you. The simplicity of it made her chest ache. And if you're right, a pause, then you might lose yourself. Her hand began to shake visibly. Footsteps echoed faintly down the corridor. She stiffened. They're coming, he whispered. Her pulse exploded. How many? I can't see. Her mind raced. The lock. The corridor. No windows. Only one entrance. Tell me now, she said urgently. What exactly did you see? A passport. Her breath caught. With your face. That's normal. With a different name. Her heart skipped violently. What name? He hesitated. Tell me. The footsteps grew louder. Alina Vorin. The name struck something deep and buried. Her chest tightened so suddenly she gasped. What? You reacted. No. Yes. I didn't. Your breathing changed. The footsteps were closer now. Male voices. Mira's vision blurred. Alina Vorin. The name echoed in her mind like something once whispered in a dream. Why that name? She whispered. Because it was yours. The corridor lights flickered slightly. Her skin prickled. I have never heard that name. Yes, you have. No. In your sleep. Her heart lurched violently. What? You've said it before. The world tilted. Stop. Open the locker. The footsteps were almost at the corner. Her fingers fumbled in her pocket. Nothing. Key, she whispered. Inside the lock. Her eyes snapped to it. A small magnetic compartment on the side. Her fingers slid underneath. A tiny key dropped into her palm. The voices turned the corner. 2 men. Dark suits. The same type as before. They froze when they saw her. Her pulse roared. She inserted the key. Her husband's voice dropped to a whisper. If they take it, everything resets. The lock clicked. The men began walking toward her calmly. Ma'am. One called out evenly. That unit isn't yours. Her hands shook violently. She opened the locker. Inside, a sealed envelope, a thin file, and a passport. Her vision tunneled. The passport was on top. Blue cover, foreign emblem. She grabbed it. The men quickened their pace. Ma'am, step away. Her fingers flipped it open. Her face stared back at her, but the name beneath it read, Alina Vorin. Her breath stopped completely. The file beneath it slipped out slightly. Photos spilled forward. Images of her. Different hair. Different clothes. Different cities. Dates spanning years she thought she remembered. The men were 10 feet away now. Put that down. Her husband's voice was urgent in her ear. Run. Her mind fractured. Alina Vorin. The drowning dreams. The missing year. The bruise on her hip. The crash. You were supposed to be dormant, one of the men said softly. Her blood froze. Dormant. They were 5 feet away. One reached toward her. She shoved the passport into her coat, clutched the file to her chest, and ran. The corridor seemed endless. Footsteps thundered behind her. Stop. Her breath tore from her lungs. Her husband's voice was sharp. Left. She turned blindly. A side exit. Alarm blaring suddenly. Her heart slammed violently. She burst through the emergency door. Cold air hit her face. She sprinted into the alley. A car screeched somewhere nearby. Her phone crackled. Do not go home, he said urgently. I wasn't planning to. Her legs felt like they might collapse. 2 blocks east, he continued. There's a cafe. Go inside. Her pulse roared. Are you watching me? Yes. From where? I can't say. She didn't argue. She ran. The cafe door chimed as she burst inside. People looked up in annoyance. Normal. Unaware. She collapsed into a chair in the back. Her lungs burned. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. The passport felt like it weighed 100 pounds in her coat. Open the file, he said quietly. Her fingers fumbled it open. Inside were printouts, financial transfers, photographs, a birth certificate. Not hers. Alina Vorin. Date of birth matching her own. Place of birth different. Another country. Her heart pounded violently. I don't understand, she whispered. They scrubbed you, he said. From what? I don't know. Her eyes scanned further. A document stamped classified. A note scribbled in his handwriting. If she finds this, she deserves the truth. Her chest constricted painfully. What truth? She whispered. The cafe door chimed again. She stiffened. 2 men entered. Not the same ones, but similar. Her pulse spiked. They found you, he said softly. How? They're faster than I thought. Her breath shortened. What do I do? Silence for a beat. Then, trust yourself. The line crackled. You told me I might not be who I think I am. Yes. How do I trust that? You've survived before. Her throat closed. Before what? The men scanned the cafe slowly. Her heart hammered. You don't remember the lake, he said quietly. The word hit, like lightning. Lake. Cold water. Hands pushing. Sinking. Her lungs seized painfully. I was a child, she whispered. Yes. The men were walking closer. You didn't drown. No. Someone wanted you to. Her heart slammed. Who? I don't know. The men's eyes landed on her. Recognition flickered. One lifted his phone. Her pulse exploded. Go! Her husband hissed. She stood abruptly, knocked over her chair. The cafe erupted in confused noise. She ran again. Out the back door. Into another alley. Her mind screamed. Alina Vorin. Dormant. Scrubbed. Someone invested in you. Her phone vibrated violently. I'm losing connection, he said quickly. They're triangulating. Where are you? She demanded desperately. A long, strained breath. Closer than you think. The line went dead, and for the first time since the coffin vibrated, she was alone. Completely alone. Her heart pounded as she pressed herself against a brick wall. File clutched to her chest. Passport burning like a brand against her ribs. If she was Alina Vorin, if she had another life, if someone had erased it, then the accident wasn't random. The funeral wasn't closure, and her husband's death wasn't the beginning. It was the continuation of something far older. Footsteps echoed at the mouth of the alley. She didn't wait. She ran again. Her lungs felt carved out of glass. Each breath cut. The alley twisted into another street. Traffic noise. People. Ordinary faces moving through ordinary lives. No one looking at her twice. No one understanding that something inside her had split open permanently. Alina Vorin. The name beat in rhythm with her pulse. She slowed only when her legs threatened to collapse. Ducking into a narrow bookstore wedged between a laundromat and a closed bakery, she pushed through the door and let it swing shut behind her. The air inside was warm and dusty. Paper, ink, safety. The bell above the door chimed softly. An elderly man looked up from behind the counter. Can I help you? She forced a nod and moved toward the back shelves. Her hands shook violently as she pulled the file out again. The birth certificate. Alina Vorin. Country of origin. Estonia. She had never been to Estonia. Had she? Her mind tried to latch onto memories of childhood. Her parents. Her mother's perfume. Her father's laugh. But even those images felt strangely rehearsed. Like photographs she had seen too often rather than lived. She flipped another page. A psychological evaluation. Subject exhibits high adaptive dissociation. She stared at the words until they blurred. Dissociation. She swallowed hard. Was that why entire stretches of memory felt fogged? Why certain smells, lake water, gasoline triggered nausea she could never explain? A folded page slipped free from the file. Her husband's handwriting again. If you're reading this, it means they moved faster than I thought. Her breath hitched. She unfolded the note fully. You are not dangerous, but someone made you useful. Her fingers tightened. You were recruited young. Before we met. Before you even knew what recruitment meant. Her heart pounded violently. I found footage, training facilities, a lake, controlled immersion. The word lake made her stomach lurch. You survived conditioning that would break most adults. Her vision flickered. Cold water closing over her head. A voice saying, stay under. Her lungs burning. Her body refusing to surface. Her hand flew to her mouth. The old bookseller glanced over. You all right? She nodded too quickly. The note continued. They altered your records, gave you a new identity, integrated you quietly. Her chest felt like it was caving inward. I don't know if you remember any of it. She didn't, but something in her body did. A tremor that wasn't fear, something deeper. They marked you dormant after an operation went wrong. Operation. Her pulse thundered. You were never meant to wake up. Her fingers began to tremble uncontrollably. And then, the final line. The accident wasn't meant for me. Her breath stopped. Her mind reeled. If the accident wasn't meant for him, then, her phone vibrated. Unknown number. Her heart leapt painfully. She answered without hesitation. You opened it, he said. Yes. Silence stretched. And, he asked. You were right. Another silence. You remember? He asked quietly. No, she whispered. But my body does. She pressed her palm against her chest. I can't explain it, but something feels unlocked. A long exhale from him. They'll escalate. They already are. Did they see you? Yes. A pause. Then, there's no more hiding. Her pulse stuttered. What does that mean? It means they know you're active. I'm not active, she snapped. You ran, he said calmly. You assessed exits. You improvised. Her throat tightened. You told me where to go. You didn't hesitate. Her breathing slowed slightly. He wasn't wrong. She hadn't frozen. She hadn't collapsed. She had moved. Efficiently. Instinctively. Why did you fake your death instead of telling me? She asked again. Because I didn't know if I could trust what was in you. The words sliced. What does that mean? I didn't know if you were still dormant. Her heart pounded violently. You were afraid of me. Yes. And now? Silence. I'm afraid for you. Her eyes burned. They tried to kill me. She whispered. Yes. Why? Because you weren't supposed to survive that lake. The bookstore felt too small. I was a child. Yes. Why would anyone train a child? Because children adapt faster. Her stomach twisted. You're saying I was shaped? Yes. For what? I don't know the full scope. Her hands trembled against the file. I don't want this. I know. Can I go back? Silence. No. Her breath shuddered. Then what happens now? They'll try to retrieve you. Retrieve, she repeated bitterly. Like I'm equipment. Yes. The word was blunt. Her heart pounded painfully. What about you? She demanded. Where do you fit into this? Another pause. I was an anomaly. How? I wasn't supposed to see the file. You said you found footage. Yes. Where? In an encrypted server. How did you access it? A longer silence this time. I work closer to the network than you knew. Her chest tightened. You're part of it. I was. I handled logistics, not operations. Her breath caught. You helped move money. Yes. And when you found my name, I froze everything. Her pulse roared. You were in the system this whole time. Yes. And you never told me. I didn't know until recently. Her thoughts collided violently. So, our marriage was real. How can you be sure? Because I didn't know who you were when I met you. Her throat tightened painfully. You chose me anyway. Yes. The simplicity of it hurt. And when you found out? I panicked. She laughed softly, hollow. That's one word for it. I didn't want to believe it. So you staged a funeral? Yes. Do your parents know everything? No. Her chest constricted. What do they know? That I'm alive. That's it? They think I'm running from financial crimes. She almost laughed again. That's kinder. Yes. The bell above the bookstore door chimed. She stiffened. 2 men stepped inside. Not the same as before, but wrong. Their posture too rigid, their eyes scanning. Her pulse spiked. They're there, he said quietly. Yes. Back exit? Maybe. Don't run yet. Her breathing slowed deliberately. The men pretended to browse. She closed the file slowly, slipped the passport back into her coat. Her heart pounded in her ears. What do I do? She whispered. You decide. The weight of that settled heavily. You said I was trained. She said quietly. Yes. For control. Her pulse steadied slightly. Then I control this. The men split up, one moving toward the back, one staying near the entrance. Trapping. Her lungs filled slowly. She stood, walked casually toward the counter. The bookseller looked confused. Everything all right? She forced a smile. Yes. The man near the back shifted. Watching. She picked up a random book, walked toward the rear section. Excuse me, she said lightly, passing the man. He turned slightly. She pivoted, drove her elbow hard into his throat. The movement felt frighteningly natural. He collapsed with a strangled sound. The other man lunged forward. She ducked, grabbed a heavy hardcover, swung. Impact. He staggered. She didn't wait. She bolted for the back door, bursting into the alley again. Her heart hammered violently. You remembered, her husband whispered. She didn't answer, because she had. Not consciously, but her body had moved with precision. With training, her lungs burned as she ran again. The file thumped against her ribs. Her phone vibrated weakly. They won't stop now, he said. I know. You need somewhere secure. Where? A pause. There's a cabin. Her chest tightened. Whose? Mine. You said you were closer than I think. Yes. Are you there? Yes. Her pulse spiked. You've been there this whole time? Yes. Watching. Protecting. She didn't know whether to feel relief or betrayal. Send me the address. A pause. I can't send it digitally. Why? They monitor. Then how? Follow the river north. Her breath hitched. The river. Yes, the same word that had haunted her dreams. Lake. Water. Drowning. You're doing this on purpose, she said quietly. No. Her feet slowed slightly. Why the river? Because that's where it started. Her heart pounded violently. You want me to remember? Yes. She swallowed hard. If I remember everything, yes? Will I still be me? Silence. I don't know. The honesty was unbearable. She reached the edge of the industrial district. The river lay beyond. Gray. Cold. Moving steadily. Her phone crackled again. They'll be behind you soon. I know. You don't have to do this. Yes, she whispered. I do. Because running blindly was no longer survival. Understanding was. She stepped toward the riverbank. The water churned softly. Her reflection wavered. For a split second, she saw a different face. Harder. Colder. Alina. Her heart slammed painfully. I'm not dormant, she whispered. No, he agreed quietly. Footsteps echoed somewhere behind her again. Closer. She stepped into the water. Cold shot up her legs like electricity. Memories flickered violently. A child sinking. A hand forcing her down. A voice counting. Her lungs tightening. Her mind separating from pain. She inhaled sharply. The present snapped back. She wasn't a child. She was standing in a river with a file that proved someone had tried to erase her. The footsteps reached the bank. She turned slowly. 2 men. Different again. Unrelenting. Alina, one said calmly. The name didn't feel foreign anymore. It felt buried. She straightened. My name is Mira, she said evenly. The man tilted his head slightly. That's what they told you. Her pulse steadied strangely. You trained me, she said. Yes. Why? You were adaptable. Her stomach twisted. For what purpose? Intervention. In what? He didn't answer. You tried to kill me. You were compromised. Her heart pounded. How? You developed attachments. The word hit like a blade. Attachments. Marriage. Love. You weren't meant to. Her husband's voice crackled faintly in her ear. Don't go with them. She didn't intend to. You erased me, she said. We reassigned you. You buried me. We preserved you. Her hands trembled. You don't get to define preservation. The man's expression remained calm. Come with us. No. You don't have a choice. She felt something shift inside her. A line. A decision. No clean choices. She whispered. What? She stepped backward into deeper water. The current pressed against her thighs. Her pulse roared. If I go with you, she said slowly, I lose him. The men said nothing. If I run, she continued, you chase. Yes. If I fight, you die. The word was simple. Cold. Her phone crackled faintly. Mira, her husband said softly. Listen to me. She inhaled sharply. Her heart pounded so violently she could feel it in her throat. The river tugged at her legs. The men waited. Her husband's breathing filled her ear. I'm here, he whispered. The water rose higher. Her file clutched tightly in one hand. Passport in the other. I'm not equipment, she said quietly. No, he agreed. I'm not dormant. No. Her gaze locked on the men. And I'm not going back. The tension snapped taut between them. and the next move would decide everything. The river pulled harder at her legs. The men stepped forward in unison. "Alina," one said again, calm as a doctor delivering a diagnosis. "You are destabilized. We can correct that." Correct. Like she was a malfunction. Her heart beat once, twice. Then something inside her settled. Not fear, not rage. Alignment. She had spent the last hours chasing truth like prey. Now she understood something colder. They did not want her dead anymore. They wanted her contained, reintegrated, controlled. "You trained me for obedience," she said evenly. "Yes. You trained me to suppress memory." "Yes. You trained me to detach." A faint nod. "And I learned." The current rose to her waist. Her husband's voice trembled faintly in her ear. "Mira, step out of the water." She didn't, because she understood now. Water had been their tool. Immersion, control, erasure. But it had also been the place she survived. The place she adapted. The place she refused to drown. "You made me," she said quietly to the men. "But you don't own me." One of them took another step forward. "Identity is irrelevant. Function is what matters." Her pulse slowed. Function. She had functioned all her life. Smiling at dinner parties. Managing campaigns. Choosing neutral words. But something had always felt slightly off-center. Now she knew why. "You marked me dormant," she said. "Yes. Why not eliminate me?" Cost efficiency. Her lips almost curved. Cold, calculated. "You tried to eliminate me in the car. You were compromised. Because I married him." Yes. The simplicity hurt more than anger. She glanced toward the trees lining the river. Somewhere beyond them, a cabin. Somewhere beyond that, a man who had loved her before he knew what she was, and then loved her again after he found out. "You were supposed to detach from him," the man continued. "I didn't. You were supposed to remain latent." "I didn't. You were supposed to comply." Silence. The water pressed against her ribs. "I won't." The men exchanged a brief glance. One of them reached into his coat slowly. Her body reacted before thought. She pivoted, dove backward into the river. Cold swallowed her instantly. The shock was electric. But beneath the panic, something else surfaced. Memory. A small body held under water. A voice counting. 9, 8. Stay under. 7. Don't fight it. 5. 4. Separate. 3. Her lungs burned. But she did not thrash. She did not scream. She let the current take her. Surface instincts warred against deeper training. Detach. Observe. Survive. Her husband's voice crackled faintly through the waterproof casing of her phone as it slipped from her hand. "Mira." "Iza." The name fractured through the water. "Mira." "Alina." Both. Neither. Her body angled with the current automatically. She surfaced 20 feet downstream behind a cluster of reeds. The men remained on the bank, watching, calculating. They would not dive in. Too visible. Too risky. She moved silently along the edge until the current softened near a bend. Then she pulled herself onto mud and stone. Her lungs burned. Her body shook. But she was alive. She staggered into the trees, up the incline, toward where the cabin should be. Branches scratched her skin. Her soaked coat clung heavy against her. The file was ruined, ink bleeding, but the passport remained sealed inside plastic. Alina Vorin, Mira Han. She reached the clearing just as the cabin came into view. Small, wooden, unremarkable. The door opened before she knocked. He stood there, alive, not a ghost on a phone, not a voice in static. Her husband, breathing, real. For a second, neither moved. She saw it in his face. Relief, fear, love, and guilt layered beneath all of it. "You're soaked," he said uselessly. "You're alive," she answered. He stepped aside. She walked in. The door shut. The cabin was sparse. Maps on the wall. A laptop open on a table. Surveillance feeds flickering faintly. He had been watching, tracking, trying to stay one step ahead. "You shouldn't have come into the water," he said quietly. "They would have taken me." "I know." Silence stretched between them. "You said I wasn't dangerous," she said. "You aren't. But I am trained." "Yes." "You were afraid of that." "Yes." She nodded once. "That's fair." He flinched slightly at her tone. She removed her coat slowly. Water pooled at her feet. "I need to know everything," she said. He exhaled shakily. "I found your original intake file 6 months ago. It was buried in an archive flagged for deletion. Why were you looking?" "Because I saw irregular transfers in your name. I thought you were siphoning funds. And you confronted me." "Yes." "And I denied it." "You looked confused," he said quietly. "Not guilty." She swallowed. "You could have told me then." I didn't know if it would trigger you. Trigger me how? Activation. She almost laughed. I activated myself today. Yes. He stepped closer. I watched you in the bookstore. Her eyes narrowed. You were there. Across the street. You could have intervened. If I had, they would have confirmed you. Her jaw tightened. So I had to prove it myself. Yes. Silence again. You let me think you were dead, she said softly. His eyes filled. I'm sorry. That's not enough. I know. Her chest ached. But I understand, she added. He looked up sharply. You do? You were trying to protect me, even if you were also protecting yourself. He nodded slowly. I didn't know which part of you would surface. And now, he studied her face carefully. You're both. She felt it too. The reflexes. The detachment. But also the tremor in her chest when she looked at him. I don't want to lose Mira, he whispered. You won't. How can you be sure? She stepped closer. Because something inside her had crystallized. They trained me to detach, she said. But they failed. How? I loved you. His breath caught. That wasn't in the plan. No. She reached up, placed her hand against his cheek. I am not a weapon, she said quietly. I am not dormant. I am not equipment. His eyes closed briefly. And Alina? He asked. She thought about the name. About the child in the lake. About the erased years. Alina survived, she said. Mira chose. He opened his eyes. They won't stop, he warned. I know. They'll keep searching. I know. What do we do? She turned toward the laptop. The surveillance feeds. The maps. The networks he had accessed. You said you handled logistics. Yes. You know their financial pathways. Yes. You know how they scrub identities. Yes. Her pulse steadied. Then we don't run. He stared at her. We expose. Silence fell heavy. They'll destroy us, he said. Maybe? That's not survival. No, she agreed. But it's control. She picked up the passport. Alina Vorin. They created me to intervene, she said. So I will. In what? In them. He looked at her as if seeing someone new. Not colder. Not harder. Focused. You can't do that alone. I'm not alone. She met his eyes. You chose me, she said. Yes. Choose me again. He swallowed hard. Yes. Outside, distant movement flickered on one of the feeds. Vehicles on the road. Approaching slowly. They found the river, he said. Good. His head snapped toward her. What? They think I'm running. You're not? No. She stepped toward the door. He grabbed her arm. Don't. I'm not going to surrender. Then what? She turned to face him fully. They expect Alina to comply or fight. Yes. I'll do neither. The vehicles drew closer on the screen. You can't outgun them, he said. I don't need to. She opened the laptop fully, brought up the server logs, the encrypted archive he had accessed months ago. You said you froze everything. Yes. But you copied it. A pause. Yes. Where? He hesitated. She held his gaze. Tell me. He typed quickly. A hidden drive popped up. Folders. Names. Accounts. Training records. Operative lists. Funding trails. Her own file. Complete. They erased my memory, she said quietly. But they kept records. Yes. They rely on invisibility. Yes. She inhaled slowly, then clicked. Upload. To who? He demanded. Everyone. A live feed initiated. Anonymous distribution. Media. Watchdogs. International oversight boards. Whistleblower networks. He stared at her. You just burned everything. Yes. And us? She met his gaze steadily. They won't kill me now. Why not? Because I'm not hidden anymore. Outside, engines cut off. Doors opened. Boots on gravel. Her pulse beat steadily. They'll come in, he whispered. Yes. And then? She closed the laptop gently. Then, stepped toward the door. Then we talk. He stared at her as if she were walking toward execution. You think they'll negotiate? No. Then what? She opened the door before he could stop her. The men approached cautiously, weapons not drawn. She raised her empty hands. My name is Mirahan, she said clearly. A flicker passed through their expressions. And also, Alina, foreign. Silence. You marked me dormant, she continued. You tried to erase me. They stopped 10 feet away. You failed. Their leader stepped forward. You've made a mistake. No, she said calmly. You did. He glanced past her toward the cabin. We can contain this. You can't. A phone vibrated in his pocket. Then another. Then another. The ripple moved through them visibly. Notifications. Messages. Alerts. The leader's face shifted slightly. What did you do? She held his gaze. I remembered. Behind her, her husband stepped into view. Alive. Visible. Unhidden. The leader looked from her to him. You've compromised national security. No, she said quietly. You compromised me. Silence stretched. Wind moved through the trees. The river flowed behind them. Unstoppable. You are not authorized to act independently, the leader said finally. She almost smiled. I am no longer your asset. The words felt like release, like surfacing from deep water. They stood there for a long moment, calculating damage, rewriting strategy. Finally, the leader spoke. This isn't over. I know. He nodded once, then turned. The vehicles retreated slowly, not defeated, but exposed. When the last engine faded, silence returned. Her husband stepped beside her. You just declared war, he said softly. No, she answered. I ended one. He studied her profile. You're not shaking. I am, she said quietly. Just not visibly. He took her hand. Warm. Real. You're Mira, he whispered. She squeezed his fingers. I'm both. The river moved steadily behind them. Cold. Relentless. But no longer something forcing her under. For the first time since the coffin vibrated, she felt the pieces align. Not peace. Not safety. But ownership. They had tried to bury her twice. Once in water. Once in wood. She had surfaced both times. And this time, she chose who she would be. Not dormant. Not erased. Not owned. Alive. The wind shifted through the trees. And she did not flinch.